Once upon a time, there lived a man named Chuka, a billionaire whose heart was softer than gold. He had everything: fame, money, cars, and power, but he never let pride rule him. Even though people called him one of the richest men in Lagos, Chuka still believed that family was the true treasure. He loved his mother more than life itself, and his world revolved around his triplet sons, Chidi, Chima, and Chisom, all 7 years old. But behind that beautiful family picture was a quiet storm he didn't see coming. After losing his first wife during childbirth, Chuka had spent many lonely years raising his boys with his mother, Mama Chuka. She was his pillar, the woman who prayed for him every morning. When he finally met Linda, a young and beautiful woman who spoke gently and smiled sweetly, he believed God had given him another chance to love. He didn't know that the woman he married had two faces, one for him and one for everyone else. The day started like any other. The mansion glowed under the morning sun, the sound of birds mixing with laughter from the triplets playing in the living room. Mama Chuka sat on a chair watching them fondly. She was dressed in a clean wrapper and blouse, her gray hair tied neatly with a scarf. "My children," she said softly, "don't jump on the sofa. Your father will not be happy if you break anything." The boys giggled. "Yes, Grandma," they chorused, but the joy didn't last long. The heavy sound of heels clicked from behind. Linda stepped into the living room, her eyes sharp like knives. She was wearing a tight, bright dress that shimmered under the chandelier. Her face carried that fake smile she only used when she wanted to look innocent. "Mama, what is this again?" she snapped, folding her arms. "You are sitting on the white chair again? How many times will I tell you this is not your kind of seat?" Mama Chuka looked up quietly. "My daughter, I was only watching the children. My legs were hurting, so I sat for a while." Linda laughed coldly. "Legs are hurting, yet you have the strength to move from chair to chair in my husband's house. You don't even respect yourself." The triplets froze. Their eyes darted from their grandmother to their stepmother. "Stepmom," little Chidi said gently, "please don't shout at Grandma." Linda turned to him sharply. "And who asked you to speak? You think because your father is rich you can talk to me like that?" Chima quickly ran and held his grandmother's arm. "Grandma, let's go to your room," he whispered. But Linda's voice rose even louder. "Don't move. I'm not done talking," she barked. "This is my house now. You all live here because of me, and you will do what I say." Mama Chuka's eyes watered. "My daughter, nobody is fighting you. We all want peace." "Then learn to stay in your place," Linda hissed and pointed toward the corner. "Go there and sit. You're not the madam here. I am." For a long moment, silence filled the room. Even the triplets didn't move. Then Chuka's mother stood up slowly, her voice calm but heavy. "When you insult an old woman, remember you are walking toward the same age." Linda's face twisted in anger. "Don't preach to me. If not for my husband's money, you and these boys would be sleeping under the bridge." At that moment, little Chisom burst into tears. "Don't talk to Grandma like that," he cried. Linda's eyes flashed. "Keep quiet before I slap you." The sound of her voice shook the room. The housemaid, Ada, who had been cleaning near the stairs, dropped her mop and turned. Her eyes widened in fear, but she said nothing. She had seen too much already. Every day since Chuka traveled for business, Linda had found new ways to make life unbearable for the old woman and the boys. She made them eat last, clean the compound, and sleep early like prisoners. "Mama, please go to your room," Ada said softly, trying to stop more trouble. Linda's head snapped toward her. "Did I ask for your opinion? Who do you think you are in this house?" Ada lowered her head quickly, murmuring, "I'm sorry, Ma." "Good," Linda said coldly. "Next time, stay out of what doesn't concern you." She turned back to Mama Chuka, who was now holding her grandsons close. "Tell me something, Mama," Linda sneered. "When your son returns, will you tell him how I take care of you? Or will you lie like old women do?" Mama Chuka took a deep breath, her voice trembling but strong. "I will tell him the truth, that his mother lives here, but she is treated like a stranger." Linda's smile vanished. "You dare talk back to me?" She took a step forward, raising her hand. The triplets screamed, "No! Don't touch Grandma!" She stopped, breathing hard. Then she pointed toward the floor. "Fine. Since you like to sit in this living room so much, clean it." Wash the tiles with your hands. I want them shining before I come back. Mama Chuka blinked. You want me to wash the floor? Yes, Linda snapped. And make sure those children help you too. Let them learn respect. The old woman looked around helplessly. Her knees were weak, but she knelt down slowly, picking up the cleaning rag near the chair. Chidi ran to her side. Grandma, let me help. Linda's voice boomed. If any of you touch that rag, I'll pour this dirty water on all of you. She pointed at a bucket in the corner. The water inside was murky from cleaning the bathroom earlier. The boys froze again. Mama Chuka began wiping the floor gently, her tears mixing with the water. God, you see everything, she whispered. Linda looked at her with disgust. Yes, pray to your God. Maybe he will clean this house for you. She turned and strutted out, her heels clicking sharply on the marble floor. When the door closed, the triplets rushed to their grandmother. Grandma, stop crying, Chidi said softly, holding her hand. Daddy will come home soon. Yes, Chisholm added, wiping her tears with his small palm. When he comes, he will make her go away. Mama Chuka hugged them tightly, her heart breaking. I just want peace, my children, she whispered. Your father must never know this pain. Upstairs, Ada stood silently behind the curtain, watching them. Her eyes glistened with tears. She knew the truth couldn't stay hidden forever. That night, as Linda laughed on the phone with her friends, boasting about how easy it was to control her husband's house, Mama Chuka knelt by her bed again. Her voice was faint but steady. God, open my son's eyes before it's too late. And outside the window, the triplets lay side by side, whispering to each other. When Daddy comes back, Chima said softly, we'll tell him everything. They didn't know that day was closer than anyone could imagine. The next morning came too soon. The sun rose slowly behind the mansion, touching the tall windows with its warm light. Birds were singing softly on the fence. But inside the house, everything felt cold and tense. The sound of the triplets' small feet echoed down the hallway as they tiptoed into their grandmother's room. Grandma, whispered Chidi, the eldest of the three. Are you awake? Mama Chuka opened her eyes slowly. Her body ached from the scrubbing she had done the night before. Her knees hurt, but she forced a smile. Yes, my dear, she said gently. Come here. Chima and Chisholm climbed onto the bed beside her, curling close to her wrapper. Chidi held a cup of water he had carried carefully from the kitchen. We brought you water to drink, he said. Mama Chuka smiled faintly and took it. Thank you, my son. You three are my strength. She drank a little, then looked at their tired faces. Did you sleep well? Chisholm shook his head. No. Stepmom was shouting again. She told the cook to stop giving us milk because she said we're spoiled. Mama Chuka sighed deeply. She knew Linda had promised to make life harder now that Chuka was away, but she didn't want to fill the children's hearts with anger. Don't worry, my darlings, she whispered. Your father will come soon. Until then, we must keep peace in this house. Chima frowned. But Grandma, why does she hate us? The old woman's eyes softened. Because some people's hearts are like stones, my dear. No matter how much you give them, they still want more. The door suddenly swung open. Linda stood there, wearing a bright red dress and holding a cup of coffee. So this is where all of you are hiding, she said sharply. What a lazy bunch. You sit here doing nothing while the house is dirty. Mama Chuka turned slowly. Good morning, my daughter. Linda laughed. Please don't call me your daughter. I'm not your village child. You can save that name for your market friends. The triplets stared at her quietly. She walked into the room, her perfume filling the air. Didn't I tell you yesterday to clean the living room again? I saw footprints on the tiles this morning. Do you know what that means? Nobody answered. It means someone didn't clean it well, she shouted. So, old woman, today you will clean the whole house again, from the front door to the kitchen. I want it shining before noon. Mama Chuka's voice trembled. Linda, my body is weak. Please. I will tell Ada to mop everywhere. Linda's eyes narrowed. Did I say Ada? I said you. I want you to do it yourself. Maybe that way you'll remember that I'm the madam here. Please, my daughter, Mama Chuka pleaded softly. I've done my best. Linda dropped her cup of coffee on the table with a loud thud. Enough. Stop calling me your daughter. You don't respect me, but you will learn. She walked out and returned a few moments later, carrying a bucket filled with dark, dirty water. "You see this?" she said, raising it high. "This is what I use to wash the bathroom. If I see any dust in the living room when I come back, I'll pour this on you and your grandchildren." Chisholm gasped. "You can't do that!" Linda turned sharply toward him. "What did you say?" Chisholm's lips trembled. "I said you can't pour water on Grandma." Linda's face darkened. She bent down slowly until her face was level with his. "You think you're brave, small boy? You're just like your grandmother, rude and stubborn. One day I'll teach you both a lesson." Tears filled the boy's eyes, but he didn't move. Chima held his brother's hand tightly. "Linda," Mama Chuka said quietly, trying to stay calm, "you're hurting them." "Good," Linda said coldly. "Maybe they'll finally learn who runs this house." She turned and stormed out, slamming the door so hard that the walls shook. For a long moment, no one spoke. The triplets just stood there, holding on to their grandmother. Then Chidi whispered, "Grandma, we can clean it for you. Don't worry." She smiled weakly and wiped her tears. "No, my dear, I will do it. I don't want her to pour that water." They followed her to the living room. The marble floor shone under the sunlight, but Linda's voice from upstairs could still be heard yelling orders at the staff. Mama Chuka knelt again and began to clean. The children tried to help quietly, but fear sat heavy in the air. Ada, the maid, came from the kitchen carrying a tray. When she saw them, she froze. Her eyes softened. "Mama, please stop," she whispered. "You're not strong enough." Mama Chuka shook her head. "If I stop, she'll do worse." Ada looked at the triplets, her hands shaking. "This is too much. If only Olga knew." "Don't say it," Mama said quickly. "Linda will fire you if she hears." "I don't care anymore," Ada whispered, voice breaking. "She treats you like dirt. Every day it gets worse. Yesterday, she even told the driver she wants your room changed to the boys' quarters." Mama Chuka's hands froze mid-wipe. "She said that?" "Yes," Ada said. "She said she's tired of sharing the same roof with you." Mama Chuka closed her eyes, holding back tears. "Let her talk. God is watching." "God may be watching," Ada muttered bitterly, "but he needs to hurry before something terrible happens here." As they talked, footsteps thundered down the stairs. Linda returned, phone pressed to her ear, laughing loudly. "No, babe, I told you that old woman acts like she owns this house," she said to her friend. "If not for Chuka's money, I'd never let her stay here." She paused when she saw them. Her face hardened instantly. "Ada, why are you standing here gossiping?" Ada flinched. I was just helping Mama clean." Linda's voice rose. "Did I ask for your help? Get back to the kitchen." "Yes, Ma," Ada whispered and hurried away. Linda looked down at the triplets. "And you three, what did I say about touching that rag?" "We didn't," Chima said softly. "We're just watching Grandma." "Well, watch from your room," she snapped. "Go." The boys hesitated, but Mama nodded sadly. "Go, my darlings. Do as she says." As they walked away, Linda leaned against the wall, watching the old woman kneel. "You know, you act so holy," she said mockingly. "You sit there praying every night, but look at you, scrubbing floors like a servant. Does your God even hear you?" Mama Chuka's voice trembled as she spoke. "My God sees everything, even what you do when no one else is watching." Linda smirked. "Then tell him I said hi." She turned and walked away again, her laughter echoing down the hall. When she was gone, Mama Chuka sank slowly to the floor. She whispered softly, "God, give me strength." In the kitchen, Ada stood by the sink, tears running down her face. She couldn't take it anymore. She took her phone from her pocket and dialed a number. "Mr. Okafor," she said when the driver answered. "Please, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, but you must tell Olga what's happening here." The driver's deep voice came through the line, calm but serious. "Ada, listen to me carefully. You must not call Olga yet." "But sir, she's becoming worse. This morning she said she'll pour dirty water on Mama and the children." There was a short silence. Then Okafor said, "I know, but if you speak now, she'll find out and throw you out before Olga returns. Let's be patient. God will expose her soon. Olga always says the truth walks on two legs. It will arrive one day." Ada wiped her tears. I just can't stand watching them suffer. Hold on a little longer, the driver said softly. Justice always comes when you least expect it. Ada ended the call, her heart heavy. She turned and saw the triplets standing at the kitchen door, their eyes filled with worry. Is Grandma okay? Chidi asked. She's trying, my dear, Ada said. Go stay with her, but be quiet so Linda won't hear. The boys nodded and ran back to the living room. They found their grandmother still kneeling, scrubbing the last corner of the floor. Chima held a towel and began wiping her sweat. You're sweating, Grandma, he said. Mama smiled weakly. Thank you, my sunshine. Chisholm crouched beside her. When Daddy comes back, we'll tell him everything, he said again, his voice firm this time. Mama stopped cleaning and looked at him sadly. No, my dear, you must not. Your father has too many worries already. If he hears, it will break his heart. But it's not fair, Chidi said, tears filling his eyes. She's always shouting. She doesn't love us or you. She just loves Daddy's money. Mama placed her wrinkled hand on his cheek. You're right, my son, but sometimes God lets bad people show their true colors so that the world can see who they really are. As she spoke, footsteps came again. Linda's voice filled the hallway. I hope that floor is shining. The old woman quickly stood, hiding her pain. The triplets stepped back, pretending to be playing. Linda walked in, inspecting every corner. She rubbed her finger along the tiles and nodded slowly. At least now it looks clean. Maybe next time you'll do it without being told twice. Mama Chuka stayed silent. Linda turned toward her. Why are you quiet? No, thank you? I'm teaching you discipline, old woman. You should be grateful. Mama bit her lip. If you have finished, I'll go and cook lunch for the boys. Linda smiled darkly. No need. They can eat bread and water today. I don't want to waste food on ungrateful people. Chisholm gasped. But we're hungry. Then drink water, Linda said coldly. Maybe it will fill your stomachs. Tears filled Mama's eyes again. Linda, please, they are children. Linda raised her hand suddenly. Enough. One more word from you, and I'll make you sleep outside tonight. The old woman stepped back quietly, holding her wrapper tightly. The triplets stood frozen, their small faces pale with fear. Linda turned and walked upstairs again, satisfied. When she was gone, the house fell silent. The clock ticked slowly on the wall. The smell of cleaning soap still hung in the air. Mama Chuka sank onto the chair, exhausted. Her knees trembled. The boys gathered around her again. I can't take this anymore, Ada whispered from the corner. She had returned quietly. She's getting worse every day. Maybe Mr. Okafor is right, but I'm afraid something bad will happen before Oga returns. Mama looked at her sadly. He will come when the time is right. God will bring him home. Chidi looked up suddenly. Grandma, when is Daddy coming back? He said 1 more week, she said softly. But who knows? Maybe sooner. The triplets' faces brightened for a moment. If Daddy comes back early, he'll see everything, Chima said excitedly. Mama smiled faintly. Maybe that's what God is planning. They all stayed silent after that, lost in thought. The sound of Linda's laughter drifted from upstairs again, cold and sharp like glass. That night, the house grew quiet. The triplets lay on their bed, whispering to each other. I wish Daddy would come tomorrow, Chisholm said. Then she can't hurt Grandma anymore. He will, Chidi said softly. I just know it. Downstairs, Mama Chuka prayed once more, her tired voice breaking the silence. God, protect my son, and when he comes back, let him see the truth with his own eyes. And somewhere miles away inside a hotel room, Chuka sat by his window, looking at a picture of his family on his phone. Something in his heart didn't feel right. He didn't know why, but he couldn't shake the thought that something was wrong at home. He whispered to himself, maybe I should go back early. He didn't know that his decision would change everything. That night, while the mansion slept, the seeds of truth had already started to grow, quietly waiting for the day they would be seen. The sun was already high in the sky when Chuka stepped out of his hotel room. He was dressed in a simple white shirt and dark trousers, his suitcase standing by the door. He had finished all his business meetings 2 days early. Most men in his position would have stayed back to rest or meet new investors. But Chuka's heart wasn't settled. He had not slept well for nights. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw his mother's tired face and his triplets' innocent smiles. Something inside him whispered that things were not right at home. He picked up his phone and stared at a picture on the screen. Mama Chuka sitting in the garden with his 3 boys on her lap. They were all laughing. That was taken just before he left for his trip. He touched the screen slowly, smiling sadly. "I miss them," he muttered under his breath. His assistant, Michael, walked in with a folder. "Sir, your flight for tomorrow is confirmed. Will you like to rest today?" Chuka shook his head. "No need. I'm going home today." Michael looked surprised. "But sir, your meeting with the investors." "Cancel it," Chuka said quietly but firmly. "Family first, always." Michael nodded slowly. "Yes, sir." As Chuka left the hotel, his driver, Mr. Okafor, was already waiting by the black Rolls-Royce parked outside. The driver's face brightened when he saw his boss. "Oga, you're coming home early." "Thank God, oh." Chuka smiled faintly. "Yes, Okafor. I just feel I should surprise them. Don't tell anyone I'm coming, not even the house staff." The driver nodded, understanding. "Yes, sir. I will keep quiet." As they drove toward the airport, Chuka leaned back in the seat, deep in thought. He remembered how Linda had begged him not to cut the trip short before he left. "Baby, you need rest," she had said, holding his arm. "You've worked too hard. Don't worry about home. Everything is perfect." At that time, her voice had sounded warm, her smile soft. But now that memory felt strange. There was something fake in that smile that he hadn't noticed before. He took a deep breath and whispered, "Lord, I hope my heart is wrong." When his private jet landed in Lagos that evening, the sky was painted in gold and orange. The air smelled of rain, and the city lights flickered in the distance. Chuka didn't call Linda. He wanted to see his home the way it truly was. As soon as they reached the gate of his mansion, he noticed something unusual. The front yard looked untidy, leaves scattered, children's toys lying in the corner. That was strange. Mama always kept everything clean. "Okafor," Chuka said slowly. "Did anyone know I was returning?" The driver shook his head. "No, sir, only me." "Good," Chuka said quietly. "Drive in slowly. Don't blow the horn." The big black gate opened quietly. The Rolls-Royce moved inside. From a distance, laughter echoed, but it wasn't the sweet laughter of his boys. It was loud and mocking. Chuka frowned. "Who's laughing?" Okafor parked the car near the garden. "I think it's Madam's voice, sir," he said softly. Chuka's heart tightened. He opened the car door slowly. "Stay here," he whispered. He moved quietly toward the backyard, walking along the tiled path that led to the servants' quarters. His steps slowed when he began to hear voices clearly. Linda's voice was sharp and cruel. "I told you people to clean this place, but you're slower than snails." Chuka's body stiffened. He peeked from behind a tall pillar. His heart nearly stopped. There, in the middle of the compound, Linda stood with a bucket of dirty water in her hand. Her phone was pressed to her ear as she laughed with someone. "My dear, this old woman thinks she can control me. She acts like I'm her house girl. Wait, you'll see what I'll do now." And in front of her, kneeling on the ground, was Mama Chuka, her wrapper soaked and muddy. Beside her were Chidi, Chima, and Chisum, the triplets, crying softly as they tried to cover their grandmother's shoulders. "Please, stepmom," Chidi said between tears. "Grandma is tired. Please don't pour it." Linda smirked. "I told you not to talk back to me. All of you will learn respect today." Chuka's lips parted in disbelief. His chest felt heavy. He wanted to rush out and stop her, but something inside told him to wait, to see everything for himself. He turned to Okafor, who had quietly joined him. "Record this," he whispered coldly. Okafor nodded, quickly taking out his phone. Linda lifted the bucket higher. "Let's see how Queen Mother looks with a little bath," she said, laughing. Then she tilted the bucket. The water splashed over Mama Chuka and the boys. They screamed and held each other tightly. Linda threw the empty bucket aside and clapped her hands. "Now maybe you'll know your place in this house." For a long moment, Chuka couldn't move. His heart pounded so hard that his ears rang. His eyes filled with tears, but his face stayed still. Mama Chuka was shivering as she tried to stand, her voice weak. "Linda, may God forgive you," she said softly. Forgive me? Linda scoffed. You think I care about your curses? This is my house now. You should be thanking me that I even let you stay here. Chisholm ran forward and shouted, This is my daddy's house, not yours. Linda turned sharply and slapped him across the face. Shut up, you spoilt brat. The boy fell to the ground crying. That was when Chuka's hand tightened into a fist. Okafor's camera caught every second. The slap, the bucket, the laughter. Chuka's voice came out low and firm. That's enough. Linda froze. The sound of his voice sliced through the air like a blade. She turned around slowly, her face draining of color. The triplets looked up suddenly, eyes wide. Daddy, Chima stammered. Chuka stepped forward, his shoes splashing into the puddle of dirty water. His face was calm, but his eyes burned. Continue, he said quietly. You were doing something. Don't stop because of me. Linda's mouth opened, but no words came out. Baby, I was just... He raised his hand slightly. Don't call me that. She froze, trembling. Chuka bent down and lifted his crying son from the ground. Are you okay, my boy? He asked softly. Chisholm nodded weakly, holding on to his father's shirt. Chuka turned to his mother next. Mama, he said in a broken voice. Stand up, please. Mama Chuka shook her head. My son, don't dirty your heart. Leave it to God. But Chuka couldn't hold it anymore. No, Mama, this is not about anger. This is about truth. He looked at Linda again, his voice calm but heavy. You poured dirty water on my mother and my children. Why? Linda swallowed hard. It's not what you think. They made me angry. They disrespected me. Disrespected you? Chuka repeated, his tone sharp. You think respect is forced by fear? You think power means humiliating others? Tears filled Linda's eyes. Please, I didn't mean to. He cut her off again, his voice lower this time. I watched everything, every second of it. Linda blinked. You watched? Yes, Chuka said. And my driver recorded it. Linda's hands shook. You recorded me? Yes, he said. So you can't lie your way out of this. For a long moment, silence filled the yard. The triplets clung to their grandmother, their small bodies trembling. Then Chuka spoke again, his voice quiet but sharp. Pick that bucket and take it inside. You'll clean every bit of this mess yourself. And after that, pack your things. Linda's eyes widened. You're sending me away? He didn't answer. He turned to his driver. Take Mama inside, get her clean clothes, and make sure the children eat. As Okafor led them inside, Linda fell to her knees. Chuka, please, don't throw me out. I was angry. I didn't mean it. He looked down at her. You didn't mean to pour water? You didn't mean to slap my son? You didn't mean to treat my mother like trash? She shook her head desperately. I just lost my temper. Chuka's eyes darkened. Then go lose it somewhere else. Not in my house. She tried to reach for his leg, but he stepped back. Linda, I gave you everything. Love, comfort, respect. And this is what you gave me in return. Her tears flowed freely now. Please, I'll change. I promise. Chuka's face stayed cold. People don't change overnight. They only pretend. He turned and walked away, his footsteps slow but steady. Linda stayed on the floor, sobbing. Inside, Mama Chuka sat quietly on a chair, now wearing a clean wrapper. The triplets were beside her, eating bread with milk. When Chuka entered, the boys jumped up. Daddy, they cried, running to him. He knelt and hugged them tightly. I'm sorry, my boys, he whispered. I should have come home sooner. Mama Chuka wiped her eyes. My son, don't blame yourself. God's time is always perfect. Chuka nodded slowly. Yes, Mama. He brought me back right on time. He stood and turned to Okafor. Make sure that video is kept safe. Tomorrow I want everyone in this house to see the truth. Yes, sir, Okafor said firmly. That night the house was silent. The staff whispered among themselves, shocked that their gentle boss had seen what they had been too afraid to report. In her room, Linda sat on the floor, staring blankly at the wall. She could hear the sound of the children's laughter from upstairs. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She whispered to herself, he will forgive me. He has to. But deep inside, she knew things would never be the same. Meanwhile, in his study, Chuka sat by the window staring into the dark garden. His reflection looked tired and heavy. He whispered softly, "Thank you, God, for showing me what I needed to see." He opened his drawer and took out a photo of his late wife. "You were right," he said quietly. "A man should look beyond beauty. I failed, but not again." He placed the photo back and closed the drawer. In the next room, Mama Chuka prayed quietly, her voice trembling. "Lord, you've shown my son the truth. Now give him wisdom to handle it with peace." And outside, the rain began to fall, slow and steady, washing the dirt from the compound, as if nature itself was cleansing what had been done. The night ended with quiet hearts and heavy thoughts. Chuka sat awake till dawn, planning what he would do next. He didn't know that the following day would bring a dinner no one in that house would ever forget. The next morning came quietly. The air was fresh after the night rain, and the garden glistened under the soft sunlight. But inside the mansion, everything was heavy. Nobody spoke loudly. Even the housemaids moved like ghosts, afraid to make a sound. Chuka stood by his bedroom window, staring at the wet compound below. He hadn't slept at all. The image of his mother kneeling in the mud and his triplets crying still burned in his mind. He could still hear Linda's laughter echoing through the night. He took a deep breath, his hand clenched on the window frame. "How did I not see this?" he whispered to himself. "How could I have been so blind?" He turned as the door opened softly. It was Mr. Okafor, his loyal driver. He bowed slightly. "Good morning, sir." Chuka nodded slowly. "Morning, Okafor. Are they awake?" "Yes, sir," the driver replied. "Mama's with the children. She's praying with them in the sitting room." Chuka closed his eyes for a moment. "And Linda?" Okafor hesitated. "She's still in her room, sir. She's been crying all night. She said she wants to speak to you." Chuka's voice was calm but firm. "I have nothing to say to her right now. Let her stay there. She needs time to think about what she's done." "Yes, sir," Okafor said quietly. He was about to leave when Chuka added, "Did you keep the recording safe?" "Yes, sir. I saved it on 3 devices. No one can delete it." "Good," Chuka said, nodding. "I want everyone in this house to see it tonight. No one will hide from the truth anymore." Okafor looked at him with respect. "You're doing the right thing, sir. God is on your side." Chuka didn't answer. He just turned back to the window. His mind drifted to the moment he had stepped into the yard the night before. The shock, the anger, the helplessness. Every time he blinked, the image replayed like a movie he couldn't stop watching. Downstairs, Mama Chuka sat on the sofa, holding the hands of her triplet grandsons. They were dressed in clean white shirts and shorts, their small eyes still tired from crying. "Grandma," Chima whispered softly, "is Daddy angry with us?" "No, my dear," she said, stroking his hair gently. "Your father is angry with what happened, not with you." Chidi looked up, his voice shaking. "Will stepmom go away?" Mama sighed deeply. "I don't know, my child. That's your father's decision. But whatever happens, remember, God always fights for those who keep quiet and do good." The boys nodded slowly, though they didn't fully understand. Just then, Linda walked into the living room. Her eyes were swollen from crying, her hair loose, and her clothes wrinkled. She looked nothing like the proud, elegant woman from yesterday. Mama Chuka looked away immediately. She didn't want another fight. Linda walked closer, her voice trembling. "Mama, please, I'm sorry. I lost control. I didn't mean to pour that water, I swear." Mama didn't speak. Linda knelt down beside her. "Please say something. I know I hurt you. I was stupid. I was angry that day, but I didn't mean it." Mama looked at her finally, her eyes calm but cold. "You poured dirty water on me and my grandchildren. What do you want me to say?" Linda's lips trembled. "Please forgive me." Mama's voice was quiet. "Forgiveness is easy to say, but respect is what you never had. If you had respected yourself, you wouldn't have done what you did." Linda began to cry. "Please, Mama, I will do anything to make it right. I promise I'll never raise my voice again." Before Mama could reply, a deep voice came from behind them. "Promises don't clean the damage you've done." Linda turned quickly. Chuka was standing at the staircase, his face unreadable. He was dressed in a dark suit, looking powerful yet calm. His presence filled the whole room. She stood up slowly. "Chuka, please listen to me." He walked down the stairs step by step, his eyes fixed on her. "You've said enough already. I don't want to hear another excuse." She tried to touch his arm, but he moved back slightly. "Chuka, I swear I didn't mean it. I was angry. Your mother, she insulted me first." Mama gasped softly and the boys froze. Chuka turned his head sharply toward her. "So now it's my mother's fault?" "No," Linda said quickly. I just felt disrespected." Chuka's voice rose slightly. "You felt disrespected? So you poured dirty water on her? On my children? Tell me, Linda, what kind of person does that?" Tears rolled down her face as she dropped to her knees. "Please don't throw me away. I love you. I can change." He stared down at her, silent for a long time. Then he said quietly, "You didn't love me. You loved what I gave you." The words hit her like a slap. She covered her face, sobbing loudly. Mama stood up slowly and held Chuka's arm. "My son, please don't let anger control you. Let God handle this." Chuka shook his head. "Mama, I'm not angry anymore. I'm just disappointed." He turned back to Linda. "You will stay here today. Tonight, everyone will eat dinner together. And then you'll hear the truth. Not from me, but from yourself." Linda looked up, confused. "What do you mean?" "You'll see," Chuka said simply, then turned and walked away. The rest of the day passed slowly. Linda stayed in her room, crying quietly, while Mama prayed in hers. The triplets played softly in the garden, not understanding why the air around them felt so heavy. By evening, the house was quiet again. The long dining table had been set beautifully, just like old times. Candles flickered in glass holders, and silver plates shone under the lights. But there was no joy in the air. Everyone could feel that something big was about to happen. The staff gathered nervously in the corner. They had been told to stay during dinner, a strange request since Chuka usually preferred privacy. Mama Chuka sat at one end of the table with the triplets beside her. Linda sat opposite them, her eyes red. Chuka sat at the head of the table, silent. He picked up his spoon, stirred his soup once, then looked around. "Eat," he said quietly. Nobody moved. Linda forced a small smile. "Darling, the food looks wonderful," she said softly, trying to sound normal. Chuka's eyes stayed on her. "Does it?" "Yes," she said, her voice shaking. "I made sure the cook followed your favorite recipe." He nodded slowly. "You've always been good at pretending to care." Her smile faded instantly. "Chuka, please don't do this here." He raised his hand slightly. "I said eat." Everyone began to move their spoons nervously. The triplets looked down at their plates, silent. After a few minutes, Chuka placed his spoon down and looked straight at Linda. "You told me once that this house is yours, right?" Linda blinked. I didn't mean it like that. I was joking." "Were you joking when you poured water on my mother?" he asked calmly. Her breath caught. "Chuka, please, not in front of them." He leaned back in his chair, still calm. "No, this is the perfect place. Everyone in this house deserves to know who you really are." She froze. "What are you saying?" He looked at Mr. Okafor, who was standing by the wall. "Okafor, please play the video." The room went silent. The projector on the wall flickered to life. The sound of Linda's laughter filled the air. "Let's see how Queen Mother looks with a little bath." And then, splash. The video showed everything. Mama kneeling, the triplets crying, Linda throwing the water and laughing. Gasps filled the room. The staff looked at each other in shock. One of the cooks covered her mouth. Mama Chuka's eyes filled with tears again, but she looked calm. Linda jumped to her feet. "Turn it off. Please, turn it off." Chuka didn't move. "Why? You should be proud of your work." She fell to her knees again. "Chuka, please. I was angry. I don't even know what came over me." He stood up slowly. "You don't know what came over you because it was always inside you. This is who you really are. I just didn't see it before." The room was dead silent except for Linda's sobs. Mama spoke softly, her voice trembling. "My son, you've shown enough. Please let her go in peace." Chuka turned to her, his voice softer. "Mama, this is not revenge. It's truth. I want everyone here to understand what kindness means and what happens when you abuse it. He looked at Linda again. When I married you, I thought I was giving my children a mother and my mother a daughter. But all you gave them was pain. Linda crawled closer, holding his leg. Please, I'll change. Don't send me away. I'll be better. I'll make it right. He looked down at her, his face emotionless. It's too late. You've already shown the world who you are. She shook her head, weeping. Please, I love you. No, he said quietly. You love my name. You love my wealth. But love doesn't make you cruel. He turned to Okafor. Take her out. She'll leave tonight. The driver hesitated. Sir, should I? Yes, Chuka said firmly. She will not spend another night under this roof. Linda screamed as two guards came forward gently to lift her. No! Chuka, please, don't do this. I have nowhere to go. He didn't look at her. As they carried her away, her voice echoed down the hall. Chuka, please, I'll change. Please forgive me. When she was gone, silence returned to the room. Chuka stood still for a long moment, then he turned to his mother. I'm sorry, Mama, he said softly. I brought this into our home. Mama touched his hand. Don't blame yourself. Evil can hide behind a smile, my son. You saw it now because God wanted you to. He nodded, tears in his eyes. Chidi tugged his sleeve gently. Daddy, is she gone forever? Chuka knelt down, pulling his boys close. Yes, my sons, and from today, no one will ever hurt this family again. The triplets hugged him tightly, their small arms around his neck. Mama smiled weakly through her tears. God has fought for us, Chuka. Now let peace live in this house again. Chuka looked around the dining hall, now filled with quiet faces. From today, this home will not be a place of fear. It will be a place of love. Everyone nodded, their hearts heavy but relieved. As the candles flickered, Mama whispered a short prayer of thanks. The air in the room felt lighter, as if a shadow had finally lifted. Outside, the night breeze passed gently through the trees, carrying away the last echoes of Linda's cries. For the first time in a long while, the mansion felt alive again. Not with noise or luxury, but with peace. And upstairs, as Chuka tucked his sons into bed, he whispered softly, Sleep well, my boys. The nightmare is over. But deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning, because the truth he had uncovered was far darker than what he had seen that day. The night after Linda was thrown out of the house, the mansion felt strangely quiet. The triplets had fallen asleep early beside their grandmother, their small faces finally peaceful after many days of tears. The maids whispered softly in the kitchen, afraid to speak too loudly. Even the air felt lighter, as though the house itself had been freed from a heavy chain. But Chuka didn't feel peace yet. He sat alone in his study, staring at the flickering candle on his desk. He thought about everything that had happened, the lies, the cruelty, the shame. It still didn't feel real. He rubbed his face slowly, then looked at the security camera footage again on his laptop screen. He watched Linda laugh as she poured water on his family. Each time he replayed it, it hurt more. But he didn't close it. He wanted the pain to stay. It would remind him never to let blindness rule his heart again. A soft knock came on the door. Come in, he said quietly. The door opened and Mama Chuka stepped in, dressed in her night wrapper. Her eyes were tired, but her smile was warm. My son, she said softly, you haven't eaten all day. Chuka looked up at her. Mama, how can I eat when I still hear her voice in my head? Mama came closer and placed her hand gently on his shoulder. Pain doesn't leave in one day, my son, but you must not let it turn your heart to stone. You need strength. Your children need you. He sighed deeply. I failed you, Mama. You warned me before, but I thought I was doing the right thing by marrying again. Mama smiled sadly. You didn't fail me. You just trusted the wrong heart. That is not a sin. Chuka looked down, his voice low. I thought I was giving my children a mother. Instead, I brought them pain. God has already corrected it, she said softly. Now eat, rest, and thank him for showing you the truth before it destroyed you completely. He nodded slowly, his eyes wet. Thank you, Mama. Mama stood up and headed for the door, but she turned and said, Tomorrow, call your lawyer End this quietly. Don't let bitterness follow you. Chuka watched her go, her words echoing in his head. End this quietly. He wanted to, but part of him knew something wasn't over. Something felt unfinished. The next morning he woke up early. The triplets were already in the garden with their grandmother, chasing butterflies and laughing again. For the first time in a long while, their laughter didn't sound forced. "Daddy, come play," Chisholm shouted, waving his small hand. Chuka smiled faintly. "Soon, my boy." He turned to Mr. Okafor, who stood beside him. "Any word from Linda?" The driver nodded slowly. "She called last night, sir. She begged the guards to let her speak to you, but I told them not to disturb you." "Good," Chuka said. "If she wants to apologize, she can do it in front of everyone. I want her to face what she has done." "Yes, sir." Later that afternoon, Linda returned to the mansion. She wore a simple gown, her eyes red and tired. The guards let her in only after Chuka gave the order. As she walked through the gate, every servant who saw her stepped aside silently. She stopped at the entrance of the main house and looked up at the tall glass doors. Just 2 days ago, she was the queen of this place. Now she felt like a stranger walking into her own shame. Chuka was standing inside, his hands in his pockets. He didn't move when he saw her. "Chuka," she said softly, her voice shaking. He raised his hand. "Don't talk yet. Sit down." She obeyed quietly and sat on the edge of the sofa. He stared at her for a long time, then spoke slowly. "I didn't call you here to fight. I called you so we can close this chapter properly." Her eyes filled with tears. "I don't want it to end. Please give me one more chance. I'll be better. I'll treat your mother and the boys like my own." He shook his head. "Words are easy, Linda, but hearts don't change with words. You broke something that can't be fixed." She moved closer to him. "Chuka, I love you. Please don't throw our marriage away because of one mistake." He looked at her coldly. "A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. What you did was wickedness. You don't pour dirt on the people who gave you love and call it a mistake." She began to sob loudly. "Please, I have nowhere to go." He looked away. "That's not my fault. You chose your actions. You must live with them." As she cried, Mama Chuka entered with the triplets. Linda froze when she saw them. The children stepped back immediately, their faces hard. "Why are you here?" Chidi asked boldly. Chuka placed a hand on his son's shoulder. "It's okay, my boy. She came to apologize." Linda wiped her tears and knelt down. "I'm sorry," she said softly, her voice trembling. "I hurt you. I was cruel. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I'm begging you to pray that God forgives me." Mama Chuka sighed deeply, her eyes kind but sad. "Linda, forgiveness is between you and God, but peace is something you have to find yourself. Leave this place and start again. Learn from your pain." Linda looked down, crying quietly. Chuka turned to the children. "Go to your room," he said gently. "Daddy will join you soon." They obeyed slowly, glancing one last time at Linda before disappearing down the hallway. Once they were gone, Chuka turned back to Linda. "You said you have nowhere to go. I'll make sure you have somewhere safe. But after today, we must live separate lives." Linda looked up, desperate. "You're divorcing me?" "Yes," he said firmly. "You lost the right to be part of this family the day you lost your kindness." She covered her face, crying again. "Please, I'll die without you." Chuka shook his head. "You'll live. And maybe someday you'll understand that wealth doesn't build a family, character does." Mama stood and whispered softly, "My son, let her go now." He nodded slowly. "Okafor," he called. The driver appeared at the doorway. "Yes, sir." "Take her to her father's house. Give her what she needs to start over. After that, no one from this house should ever speak of her again." "Yes, sir," Okafor said quietly. Linda stood up slowly, tears streaming down her face. She turned to Mama Chuka. "I'm sorry, Mama. I was blinded by pride." Mama nodded gently. "Go in peace, my daughter. I wish you wisdom." She turned to Chuka next. "Chuka, I'll never stop loving you. Please don't hate me forever." He looked at her sadly. "I don't hate you, Linda. I just don't know who you are anymore." She sobbed again as Okafor led her outside. When the car door closed, the silence that followed was heavy and long. Chuka walked to the balcony and watched as the car drove through the gates and disappeared down the road. He stood there for a while, arms folded, the wind brushing his face. Mama came beside him quietly. "You did what was right, my son," she said softly. He nodded slowly. "Then why does it still hurt so much?" "Because you're human," she said. "Even when we remove pain, the wound still aches before it heals." He turned to her, his eyes red. "I trusted her with everything, Mama. She made me look like a fool." Mama smiled faintly. "No, my son, you didn't look like a fool. You looked like a man who loved with a clean heart. That's nothing to be ashamed of." He looked down. "I just wanted peace. I wanted a mother for my boys." "You already have that," Mama said softly. "They have me, and now they have you." He smiled weakly and hugged her. "Thank you, Mama, for everything." She patted his back gently. "Rest now. Tomorrow is a new day. God has already started writing a new story for you." That night, the mansion felt different again. Not empty, but calm. The triplets slept soundly in their beds, holding each other's hands. Mama sat by their side, humming softly. Chuka walked quietly through the hallway, stopping by their room. He stood there for a long moment, watching them sleep. He whispered to himself, "I'll protect them, no matter what." Then he turned and went back to his room. He didn't feel anger anymore, only relief. The storm was finally over. Downstairs, the maids cleaned the dining table, still whispering about the dinner from the night before. One of them said softly, "Olga did the right thing. The truth needed to come out." Another replied, "Yes, but it's sad. Madam had everything." "Some people lose gold because they chase dust," the older maid said wisely. In his study upstairs, Chuka sat down and opened his laptop again. This time he deleted the video. He didn't need it anymore. The truth had already done its work. He leaned back, closed his eyes and whispered, "Thank you, God. The mask is gone." Outside, the night breeze carried a gentle peace over the mansion. The house that once echoed with cruelty was now filled with quiet love and laughter. And for the first time in months, when Chuka finally lay down to sleep, he slept deeply. Not as a broken man, but as a father and a son who had fought for his family and won. The next morning, a soft calm filled the mansion. Sunlight streamed gently through the curtains, warming the marble floors. The triplets' laughter floated from the garden, and for the first time in many days, it sounded pure again. But even with peace returning, Chuka's heart still carried a heavy shadow. He sat quietly at the dining table, reading through some papers. His face was calm, but his eyes looked tired. Mama Chuka walked in holding a tray of food. "You haven't eaten, my son," she said gently. Chuka smiled faintly. "I will, Mama. I just have a few things to go through." She placed the tray before him. "You've been going through papers since morning. Rest a little. The boys are asking when you'll play football with them." Chuka looked up, smiling softly. "Later, Mama. I promise." She sat opposite him. "You still haven't smiled like before," she said quietly. "You did the right thing. Stop punishing yourself." He sighed deeply. "I'm not punishing myself, Mama. I'm just thinking about how everything fell apart so fast." She touched his hand. "When glass breaks, it makes noise. When truth breaks, lies, it shakes everything. But after that, peace comes." He nodded slowly, grateful for her words. Before he could reply, Mr. Okafor entered the room holding a brown envelope. "Sir, there's something you need to see," he said. Chuka looked up. "What is it?" Okafor hesitated. "I didn't want to show you at first, but I think you should know. The security guard found this envelope near the gate early this morning. It has Linda's name on it." Mama's eyes widened slightly. "What does it say?" Okafor placed the envelope on the table. Chuka opened it slowly. Inside were several printed screenshots, text messages between Linda and an unknown number. As he read, his jaw tightened. The messages were clear. "You've done well. Keep making the old woman uncomfortable. The goal is to make her leave the house. Once she's gone, we'll start the second phase. Don't worry, you'll get the rest of your money when Chuka signs the new deal." Mama gasped softly. "Jesus, she was working for someone?" Chuka's voice dropped. "She was working with one of my business rivals. They wanted to destroy my peace from inside my home. Okafor nodded. That's what I feared, sir. It wasn't just pride. It was a plan. Chuka rubbed his forehead, breathing deeply. So all that kindness, all that love, it was fake from the beginning. Mama placed her hand on his shoulder. Now you understand why God brought you back home early. If you had stayed longer, they would have succeeded. Chuka stood up slowly, his voice calm but heavy. I trusted her with my life, and she was plotting against me. That's the worst betrayal of all. Okafor cleared his throat. Sir, do you want me to take these messages to the police? Chuka thought for a moment, then shook his head. No, I won't drag this into court. Let her live with what she's done. Her punishment is knowing she lost everything. Not because I took it, but because she threw it away. Mama nodded approvingly. You are wise, my son. Revenge is loud, but peace is stronger. Chuka gave the envelope back to Okafor. Keep it safe. If they try anything again, we'll be ready. Yes, sir, the driver said, then left the room quietly. For a few seconds, no one spoke. The only sound was the faint laughter of the triplets outside. Then Chuka said softly, Mama, I want to build something new. Something that will remind me that good still exists. She looked curious. What do you mean? I want to start a foundation, he said, for widows, for children who suffer like my boys suffered these past weeks. I'll name it after you, the Mama Chuka Foundation. Tears filled her eyes. Oh, my son, you don't have to. He smiled gently. I do, Mama. You've spent your whole life helping others. Now it's my turn to honor that. She covered her mouth with her hand, emotional. God will bless you for this. Just then, the triplets burst into the room, running toward their father. Daddy! Daddy! We won! Chisholm shouted, waving a small ball. Chuka laughed, lifting him up. You won? Who did you play against? Grandma, Chidi said proudly. She's strong. Mama laughed loudly, wiping her eyes. These boys won't let me rest. Chuka hugged all three of them tightly. You know what? From now on, no one in this house will cry again. Only laughter, okay? Yes, Daddy, they all shouted together. He smiled. Oh, good. Now go get ready. We're going out later. Where? They asked excitedly. You'll see, he said, winking. They ran off happily, their voices echoing down the hall. Mama smiled as she watched them. You see, my son? Joy always comes after tears. Chuka nodded. Yes, Mama. It feels like the house can breathe again. She stood up and adjusted her wrapper. I'll go get ready too. You can't take them out without me. Chuka laughed. Of course not, Mama. When she left, Chuka turned toward the large window again. The garden outside looked brighter than it had in weeks. He took a deep breath and whispered, Thank you, God. You gave me back my family. Later that afternoon, the whole family went to the park together. The triplets ran around chasing each other while Mama sat on a bench watching them. Chuka sat beside her, finally smiling again. Do you think she'll ever regret it? He asked quietly. Mama nodded. One day she will look back and cry, not because she lost a rich man, but because she lost a good man. He looked down. I still feel sorry for her, Mama. That's because your heart is pure, she said. Never let her change that. He nodded slowly. I won't. As the children laughed and rolled on the grass, Chuka leaned back, feeling peace settle inside him for the first time in months. He had lost something, yes, but he had also gained something greater. He had seen the truth, faced the pain, and still found the strength to forgive. When the sun began to set, Mama stood up, holding his hand. Let's go home, my son. The night is coming. Chuka smiled. Yes, Mama. Let's go home. As they walked back toward the car, the triplets ran ahead, laughing loudly. The orange glow of the evening sun fell on them, making them look like tiny rays of hope. Chuka watched them and whispered to himself, Home is not about walls. It's about hearts that still choose love after being broken. And for the first time, his heart felt truly free. 2 days after the park visit, the mansion felt completely different. The walls that once echoed with tension now carried laughter and music. The triplets ran around in matching t-shirts, playing hide and seek with the maids. Mama Chuka's voice could be heard from the kitchen, singing one of her old hymns as she stirred a pot of soup. Chuka sat in his study, sorting through some files. His phone buzzed on the table. It was Mr. Okafor. "Sir, there's something you should see," the driver said on the line, his voice sounding worried. Chuka frowned. "What is it, Okafor?" "I just got a call from one of the guards. A journalist came to the gate asking strange questions about Madame Linda. He said he has a story to publish about her." Chuka's eyes narrowed. "What kind of story?" "He didn't say, sir, but he mentioned your name. He said it's connected to a business rival." Chuka stood up slowly, his calmness shifting into suspicion. "Which journalist?" "Someone named Kunle Aid, sir," Okafor replied. "He left a card. Should I bring it to you?" Chuka's face changed. He knew that name. Kunle Aid was one of the most fearless investigative reporters in Lagos. A man who didn't publish anything unless he had proof. "Yes," Chuka said quickly. "Bring him here. I want to hear what he has to say." An hour later, a tall man in a neat suit stood in Chuka's study. He had a serious face and a small folder tucked under his arm. "Thank you for seeing me, Mr. Chuka," he said respectfully. Chuka nodded. "You said it's about my wife?" Kunle opened the folder and pulled out a few printed pages. "Your former wife, sir. I believe you deserve to know who she was really working for." Chuka's expression hardened. "Go on." Kunle laid the documents on the table. "For the past 6 months, a company called Obimax Holdings has been trying to buy out your logistics firm. You refused every offer. The CEO of Obimax is a man named Chief Odion." Chuka nodded slowly. "Yes, I know him. A greedy man who'll do anything for power." Kunle continued. 2 months after your marriage, Linda received a large payment from an anonymous account, traced back to one of Chief Odion's companies. The messages attached to it instructed her to create chaos in the house and make sure you were emotionally distracted during contract negotiations. Chuka froze. His voice dropped. "You're saying my wife was planted in my life? To destroy me?" Kunle nodded grimly. "Yes, sir. She was never just a wife. She was part of a plan. But the plan failed when you came home early. Someone on the inside warned me about it, and I came straight here." For a few seconds, silence filled the room. The only sound was the ticking clock on the wall. Chuka finally spoke, his tone low but steady. "Do you have proof of this?" Kunle opened another folder and placed a flash drive on the desk. "Everything is here. Emails, bank transfers, call logs. She was supposed to leave after you signed your assets into joint ownership, but you never did." Chuka rubbed his face slowly. "So that's why she rushed the wedding. Why she kept pushing me to change the will." "Yes, sir," Kunle said quietly. "It was all business to them. Your family, your company, your peace. They wanted everything." Mama Chuka entered the room just then, carrying a tray of fruit. "My son, you haven't eaten all day," she said, then stopped when she saw the tension on their faces. "What's going on?" Chuka sighed and pointed to the journalist. "Mama, meet Mr. Kunle. He just told me that Linda wasn't just cruel. She was hired to destroy us." Mama's eyes widened. "What?" Kunle explained everything again, slowly. When he finished, Mama sank into a chair, shaking her head. "Ah, that woman's wickedness has no limit, and I prayed for her every day." Chuka clenched his fists. "She nearly ruined my family for money." Mama touched his hand gently. "Don't let anger rule you, my son. Evil reveals itself so that the righteous can learn." Chuka took a deep breath and turned back to Kunle. "Thank you for bringing this to me. But tell me, are you planning to publish it?" Kunle nodded slowly. "Yes, sir, but I wanted to inform you first. It's big news and it will protect your name." Chuka thought for a moment. "Do what you must. The world should see the truth. Let her new friends know that not every plan against a good man succeeds." Kunle smiled faintly. "I admire your strength, sir. Most people would be angry, but you're calm." Chuka gave a small smile. "Anger builds nothing. I'd rather build something that lasts." After the journalist left, Mama sat quietly watching her son. "You handled that well," she said softly. He nodded. "It hurts, Mama, but at least now I know why everything happened." She smiled gently. "Now you can move forward." That evening, Chuka called his staff for a meeting. The triplets played quietly in the corner while he addressed everyone. "For months this house was filled with lies," he began. "But that time is over. From now on, this home will stand on truth, kindness, and peace. Anyone who cannot live by that will leave." Everyone nodded firmly. He turned to Okafor. "I want to reward those who stayed loyal. You, Ada, the guards. You all kept quiet and protected my family when I didn't see what was happening. Thank you." Ada the maid smiled shyly, wiping her eyes. "Sir, we only did what was right." "You did more than that," Chuka said, "and I'll never forget it." Mama smiled proudly. "This is how a man restores his home. With love, not hate." The children clapped their small hands, not fully understanding, but happy to see their father smile again. That night, after everyone went to bed, Chuka stood alone by the window. The sky was clear, the moon shining softly over the compound. He looked down at the garden where his mother had once knelt in tears and whispered, "You see, Mama, the truth always comes home." He thought about Linda for a long time. Her laughter, her lies, the look in her eyes when he told her to leave. Then he sighed deeply and whispered, "I forgive you." The words left his mouth softly, but they carried a heavy peace with them. He turned off the lights, walked to his room, and found the triplets asleep beside their grandmother again. He smiled, tucked them in, and kissed their foreheads. "You're safe now," he said quietly. As he lay down beside them, his heart finally felt light. The storm had passed, and though it left scars, it also brought wisdom. The next morning, the news spread across town. Billionaire's wife exposed in corporate betrayal scandal. But inside the mansion, Chuka didn't read the papers. He was too busy living the peace he had fought so hard to regain. The morning sun shone softly through the curtains, bathing the mansion in a warm golden light. The birds sang outside, and the triplets' laughter filled the air as they ran around the living room, pretending to be superheroes. For the first time in a long while, their laughter sounded real. The pain and fear that once filled their hearts had finally been replaced with joy. Chuka stood by the staircase watching them play. A smile formed on his face, slow and gentle. For weeks, his home had been a battlefield, but now it felt like a home again. The heavy silence that once filled the air was gone. Peace had returned. Mama Chuka entered the room, holding a tray of hot tea. "My son," she said cheerfully, "you're just standing there smiling. Come and sit down before your tea gets cold." Chuka walked over and sat beside her. "Mama," he said softly, "for the first time in months, I woke up and felt peace." Mama smiled. "That's because your heart is clean again. You forgave her." He nodded slowly. "Yes, Mama, I did. Holding on to anger won't change what happened. It only makes me bitter. But letting go makes me free." She reached out and held his hand. "You've grown, my son. I'm proud of the man you've become." Chuka smiled faintly. "I learned from you, Mama. You taught me that no matter how hard life hits, we must never lose kindness." The triplets ran up to them, their faces glowing with excitement. "Daddy," Chidi shouted, "Grandma said you're taking us somewhere today." Chuka laughed. "Ah, so she already told you the secret?" "Yes," Chisholm said, jumping up and down. "She said it's a surprise." Mama laughed softly. "They wouldn't let me rest until I told them." Chuka leaned closer and whispered, "All right, go get ready. We're going to see something special." The boys ran off happily, shouting and giggling. Mama looked at her son curiously. "Something special?" Chuka nodded. "Yes, Mama. It's time." Later that afternoon, the family's car drove through the city streets. Mama sat beside Chuka while the triplets looked out the window, pointing at everything they saw. "Look, Daddy, ice cream shop. Daddy, look at that big building." Their voices were full of life. After a while, the car stopped in front of a large building painted cream and gold. The sign at the top read, "The Mama Chuka Foundation." Mama's eyes widened. "Chuka," she whispered, "what is this?" Chuka smiled. "Come and see, Mama." He helped her out of the car as the boys ran ahead, their small shoes tapping against the marble steps. Inside, the building was bright and beautiful. There were classrooms, a library, and a small medical center. The walls were decorated with drawings made by children. A woman in a neat uniform walked up to them and greeted respectfully. "Good afternoon, sir. Everything is ready for the opening." Mama turned to her son, still shocked. "Opening? You mean this place is yours?" Chuka shook his head. "No, Mama, it's ours. I built this in your name, to help widows, children, and anyone who feels forgotten. This will be a place of hope. Tears filled Mama's eyes instantly. My son, you did this for me? Chuka smiled warmly. Yes, Mama. You gave your whole life to helping others. This is my way of saying thank you. She covered her face, crying softly. God bless you, my son. You've turned our pain into purpose. The triplets ran to hug her. Grandma, you're famous now, Chima said excitedly. Mama laughed through her tears. Famous for what? For being kind, Chidi said proudly. That's what Daddy said. They all laughed, the sound echoing warmly through the hall. A few minutes later, guests began arriving. Staff from Chuka's company, friends, and people from the community. Everyone clapped when the ribbon was cut. Mama held the scissors with shaking hands, smiling from ear to ear. As the cameras flashed, Chuka whispered to her, This is your victory, Mama. You endured pain with grace. You showed me what strength looks like. She squeezed his hand gently. And you showed me what forgiveness looks like. After the ceremony, Chuka walked outside to the courtyard where the sun was setting behind the building. He stood quietly, thinking about everything that had happened. Linda's betrayal, the heartbreak, the lessons, and now this moment of peace. Okafor came up beside him. Sir, he said softly, you did well. Madam's story has made many people change their ways. They see now that power and money mean nothing without kindness. Chuka nodded. It's not about revenge anymore, Okafor. It's about peace. I want this foundation to remind people that goodness always wins in the end. The driver smiled. Amen, sir. Just then, the triplets ran out again. Daddy? Grandma's calling you for pictures, Chuka laughed. Go tell her I'm coming. When they ran back inside, Okafor looked at him carefully. Sir, if you ever need someone to write your story, the world will learn from it. Chuka smiled. Let the story stay in our hearts. That's enough. Later that night, back at the mansion, the family sat together at the dining table. The triplets talked endlessly about the new foundation, how they would visit every weekend and bring toys for the children there. Mama listened happily, smiling as she served them food. When the house grew quiet and everyone went to bed, Chuka stepped outside to the balcony. The moon shone bright over the compound, the night breeze cool against his face. He looked up at the sky and whispered, Thank you, God, for everything, for pain that taught me patience, for lies that led me to truth, and for family that gave me strength. He closed his eyes for a moment and thought of Linda, not with anger, but with peace. Somewhere deep inside, he hoped she had learned her lesson too. Mama joined him a few minutes later, her wrapper tied loosely around her. Still awake, my son? She asked softly. Chuka smiled. Just thinking, Mama. She nodded. Thinking is good.